All right, the final game that we're going to review is number 22, Texas, surviving a scare from Mississippi State in overtime, 45-38. Let's go over the highest grade player, starting off with the Texas Longhorns. Highest grade player was edge rusher Ethan Burke, 77.5. Offensive tackle Trevor Gooseby, 75. Anthony Hill Jr., the star linebacker, 74.8. Center Connor Robertson, 71.8. Another 71.8 here. And Trey Moore, the edge rusher. And Arch Manning with a 78.9 grade. He was the highest graded Longhorn in the win for Texas. Now to Mississippi State. Their highest grade players, linebacker Zachary Tillman, 76.3. Another linebacker here, and Darion Gillette, 74.3. Cannon Boone, the center, 74.1. Kelly Jones, the corner, 73.1. Trevor Mayberry, the guard, 71.8. And Blake Shapen with a 64.2 grade at quarterback. Dalton, what told the story in this game for Texas and Mississippi State?
Well, you're going to get a lot into this fourth quarter, and rightfully so. Texas is hanging on for dear life is what they're doing, and certainly some tough games left to go. The Vandy next week, the Georgia game at Georgia looms large, Texas A&M. But for now, they're hanging on for dear life, and one reason they could do that in this game, you're going to get into Arch Manning all flash on the offensive side, but Texas' run defense was still really good in this game. Despite the 38 points they gave up, but that was mostly because breakdowns in the secondary. Blake Shapen played pretty well for most of this game, then there was some errors at the end of it. But a 77 run defense grade for Texas, 3.5 yards per design carry, allowed 24 stops in run defense and only 4 missed tackles. And in the second half, especially when you're behind and you have a team that just can't really run the football very well, second half of this game, Mississippi State, 12 carries, 34 yards. That just keeps you from allowing this team to milk the rest of the clock away when you're down. Was it 17 they were down? 38-21 they were down and then stormed all the way back. But when a team can't line up and just run the football on you and they got to throw it, the clock doesn't move quite as swiftly in those scenarios. So I do want to give credit, as you're going to get into all the rest of the circus for the second straight week here we have with Texas. But credit their run defense, especially Anthony Hill was outstanding in this game. Jelani McDonald was really good. Again, these are the moments where you go, all right, you still have to make stops. And they did make stops, and then it set up everything that you're going to talk about here with Arch Manning and even Matt Caldwell at the end of it throwing the winning touchdown, and just for the second straight week in different fashions, a whole lot of nonsense in one of these Texas games.
Yeah, Texas in the fourth quarter was incredible. And this one, it led to them tying the game and forcing overtime for the second straight week after going to overtime last week with Kentucky. Did it again this week with Mississippi State. So Texas was down 17 points in the fourth quarter with 12 minutes and 30 seconds left. And all hope looked lost for the Longhorns because obviously if they lost this game, their playoff hopes would have been dead if they lost this one. They scored on a 75-yard touchdown drive within 3 minutes, though, then forced a 3-and-out from the Bulldogs, scored a field goal within 4 minutes, forced another 3-and-out, and on that punt, Ryan Niblett scored on a 79-yard punt return touchdown with under 2 minutes left to go in the game to tie the ball game. With backs against the wall, Texas answered on the road in this one. .465 EPA per play for the Longhorns, negative .172 for Mississippi State in the fourth quarter of this ball game. Just, again, it feels like a lot of these games, Dalton, where a team just storms back either at the second half or in the fourth quarter like Memphis did against USF2. Just Texas is really the same thing, just a completely different team it looked like in the fourth quarter.
I mean, do you know how close we are to talking about Mississippi State as a legitimate playoff? Think about, was it double overtime against Tennessee?
Yep.
Right? The game against Florida last week where they were in field goal range in the interception to Micah Burrow, and then this game with a 17-point. Mississippi State is this close to being 7-1, and we're talking about them like we're talking about Vandy the same way. We're talking about Jeff Lebby like he's the coach of the year and all these things, and really, I mean, just some heartbreaking losses, obviously. But it's a young team. This is kind of the difference, and you kind of hope for their sake that they can, and they got a tough end of their schedule. Arkansas, Georgia, Missouri, Ole Miss. You hope for their sake in the year and the progress they've made that they can make a bowl game. That would feel like a big step for Mississippi State. But that's what comes with trying to get out of the doldrums there at the bottom of a conference, is learning how to win these types of games and playing all 60 minutes, or sometimes in two of these cases 60 minutes plus. It's a tough loss, but I'll tell you what, Texas, Arch Manning when he needed to be, and even Matt Caldwell when he needed to be, Texas was darn good enough to win this game.
Yeah. Who do you want to shout out as your most impressive for Texas?
I'll tell you what. Texas, there's a legitimate case that Texas season, and there was some other guys who played great, especially Anthony Hill on the defensive side. I think it was 9 pressures he had in this game. He just went crazy too at a certain point. Texas season might be dead without Ryan Niblett, the punt returner. I mean, 3 weeks in a row now. Think about this. 3 weeks in a row. The Oklahoma game, they're up 13-6. Tight defensive game, kind of ugly. He gets a punt return to put the game out of reach, 20-6. Boom. Against Kentucky last week, 2 long punt returns, didn't score on them, but set up 10 Texas points in a game that ended up 16-13. And then to tie this game with Texas, even so, down 7, last 5 minutes, Mississippi State can still just find a way, put a drive together, a couple first downs, wins it. And he ties the game and turns it all upside down again. I just got to credit this guy, not just for this game, but for the last 3 games. Texas season might be over without Ryan Niblett. So listen, if you don't think all 3 phases matter, they matter, because this guy, you could argue, has been the most important player on the field the last 3 weeks for Texas.
No, he's saved the season with that punt return touchdown against Mississippi State. Yeah, he's been incredible for them. I want to shout out his quarterback because he plays wide receiver for Texas too. Arch Manning, man, had a really, really good ball game. He threw for 346 yards, 3 touchdowns, and an interception. That one pick, though, was not his fault because it was a pretty well-thrown ball to Parker Livingstone that was dropped and tipped up in the air to a defender. So that interception was not his fault, and that's why we track turnover-worthy plays here at PFF. 2 big-time throws, 0 turnover-worthy plays for Arch Manning, and a 69.2 passing grade under pressure. It's actually a really, really good mark under pressure. 7 for 11 for 83 yards under pressure. He also ran for 29 yards and a touchdown in this one, too. He did get hurt, so it remains to be seen if he'll play this upcoming week in a major, major game against Vanderbilt. With again, Texas season is on the line as it is every single week from here on out right now. He has not been the solution for Texas's offense this year, but he has also not been the biggest problem with Texas's offense this year either. I think Arch Manning is getting a little bit too much flack for how he's played this year. I think it's been overall decent for Texas, and in this one, he actually was really good, I think, for them too. So I want to shout out Arch Manning because I think he's gotten a lot of unnecessary hate this year. He's played a lot better than he's given credit for.
The big question now, because he played very well against Oklahoma despite it, not a gaudy stat total. Didn't play very well against Kentucky, then came back and bounced back. I would argue this was his best game of the year at the end result of it, and it took a while, but I would argue this was his best game of the year. Is he going to play next week? Sources say he suffered a concussion at the end when Caldwell had to come in and throw the winning touchdown pass. Are we going to see Arch Manning against Vanderbilt?
You have sources in the Texas program.
Not me, but the sources everywhere.
Or Porter is saying sources say, yeah.
Yeah, pretty much, yeah.
Yeah, it's like, damn, you got contacts in Texas right now. All right.
Not, we're getting there. We're working on it. We're always working on more sources, right? You've got sources.
The way you said that was like very Adam Schefter-like. I was like, damn. Okay.
Well, I don't want to just declare that he's got a concussion. I haven't talked to him. It's kind of that thing. I got to just at least cover. It's just a disclaimer, the source's disclaimer. It works for everything.
So not your sources, but another reporter sources.
Somebody's sources.
Somebody's sources. Okay.
Somebody in Texas says Arch Manning has a concussion, which that hit he took last night. I
believe
him. That's a believable thing from whatever source that is. But this is the question now. You got a huge game against Vandy next week, obviously for both teams. Vanderbilt didn't play them that bad last year either, if you remember that.
No, they didn't. They lost by 3, right?
I believe it was 3, yeah. Is it going to be Arch Manning or is it going to be Matt Caldwell? Can Caldwell do it? We've seen him a couple times this year. He's made some throws in a couple games, but can he do it for a full game with the way that Vandy's rolling right now? Or are we going to get Manning? That's basically it. Is he going to be out there? Because that's going to make a big difference, especially with their offensive line still kind of struggling, especially to run the ball.
Yeah, it'll be really fascinating if they get him out there. Yeah, for sure. But overall, just a gutsy performance for Texas to win this ball game 45-38 in overtime and keep their season alive at least for one more week, as it got a major one coming up in Vanderbilt this upcoming week. All right,